I want to go from Ahmedabad to London. Remember, there were lots of relatives in London. 169 of the passengers held Indian passports, but about 53 were British nationals. I'm joined by Jonathan Gilbert, reporting from London. Appreciate your joining us, Jonathan. What more details can you give us about who these people were on board? About 53 British nationals, we're told, were on board this Air India flight which crashed.
Well, that's right. That's the tragic figure we have to work with at the moment. 53 British nationals out of a total passenger manifest of about 230. Obviously, that's at least a quarter of those passengers on board would have been British passport holders. Now, common sense would suggest that the majority of those were almost certainly Britons, British passport holders of Indian descent. So very much connected with both the UK and India itself, tragically. Now, I was in the South Terminal where this flight was scheduled to land roughly within the next couple of hours. I saw no sign of any families expectant of their relatives and loved ones, would seem to suggest, tragically, if practically, that the message has probably got through that this plane sadly is not scheduled to arrive. It won't be arriving here, and therefore there's very little sign at the moment of families or the potential bereaved. Now, the British system is very well versed in how to deal with these unexpected tragedies. They will almost certainly have set up some sort of reception area somewhere here within Gatwick Airport for anyone who is confused and in need of information. There are already telephone hotlines in place, but one suspects that many of the relatives of those terrible, tragic passengers are probably, in all likelihood, watching the news, much like the rest of us, waiting for information to filter through.
This flight, Jonathan, taking off at 1:35, would have landed at Gatwick later this evening, India time about 10 o'clock, which would be about 5:30 in the United Kingdom. Do we have any more details about from the passenger manifest about the kind of British nationals, mainly of Indian origin, you say? I saw a few of them, Indian origin, surname Patel, who were British nationals. Are they basically Indians who were traveling holding British passports? Is that the general sense that you're picking up?
As I say, common sense would seem to suggest that that would be the case. Yeah, there's a massive Indian diaspora, obviously, within the UK. Many millions now, Indian, British passport holders of Indian origin, either dual passport holders or indeed the offspring of those who emigrated here many years ago would nonetheless have deep ties with India. Of course, historically, the vast majority of Indian British immigrants are from Western India, from the Gujarat region. So one would expect indeed that a significant proportion of those British passport holders would indeed be of Indian origin. Without further clear information, it's hard to speculate further, but as you say, the passenger manifest does appear to contain a fairly high proportion of Indian surnames. So yes, one would expect that.
Just a final question. You said that there is a drill that is in place. So presumably as the evening comes in England, as the details are slowly pouring in and the real possibility of no survivors, presumably many of the airline authorities, Air India authorities in London and at Gatwick will be slowly but surely informing relatives of the bad news.
That's right. The responsibility for the disbursement of that information really falls to many bodies, not only the airline itself, but also the UK Foreign Office, which always swings into action promptly at times like this. They've set up already an emergency hotline for anyone who needs further information. I would confidently expect that they probably have or are in the process of setting up some sort of help desk here within the confines of the airport itself, just to help anyone who may have come here either accidentally or literally out of desperation, seeking any further information. You can imagine the mindset of these poor souls
Okay,
at the
I'm
moment.
just stop. I'm stopping you, Jonathan.